Hello everyone, this is Agri Videos, and the topic for today's video is basic agricultural hand tools and the various equipments and machinery that is used in the agricultural operations. So first of all, we need to know that what are the different sources of farm power which are available in the field. So this is mainly categorized into five major categories. One being human power, then we have animal power, then we have mechanical power, which includes tractors, tillers, and oil engines. Then we have electrical power, and following that we have the renewable sources of energy as a power, which includes biogas, solar energy, and wind energy, for example. Let's now talk in detail about human power. What is human power basically talking about? When we are having an agricultural field, so all the stationary work which is being done in that field, like chaff cutting, lifting, water threshing, everything and activities related to these like winnowing, these are all done by the human power, that is the manual labor. So example like weeding activity, this is manually being done. Winnowing is a manual activity which is mostly practiced in the parts of India. Paddy nursery collection, then nursery transplantation and transportation, all these activities are example of human power. The merit of this is that this human power is easily available and can be used for different kinds of work. But the demerit is it is costlier compared to the all other forms of power. Efficiency is comparatively lower, and full maintenance cannot be accomplished while having them in the system. And it also affects the weather and the conditions, seasons. They all affect the availability of the human power. Then we have animal power. Animal power is apart from the bullocks that we have, there are other animals like camels, buffaloes, horses, donkeys, mules, elephants, even, which are used at some places. For example, Persian wheel is being run by horse. You can see in the picture. Bullock cart is a very common example. Plowing of land being done, plowing of land by bulls. You can see here in the picture. So, in this kind of power, what is the merit? That of course it is easily available. It can be used for different kinds of work. Initial investment is low. Supplies manure also in the field, which can be used to facilitate the growth. Live of the live on the farm products that can be seen. But the con or the disadvantage is that it is not also not that efficient. Season and weather will also affect this. Cannot work at a stretch, requires maintenance, creates at times create dirty atmosphere near the residence if it is in there, and very slow comparatively in doing work when we are comparing to other sources which are going to come ahead. Then we have the mechanical power. Mechanical power, this includes engines with which supposedly tractors, power tillers, and combines, which are self-propelled. Like there are different two types. There are two types of ignition engines. One is the spark engine, which has kerosene or petrol as the engine component, and then we have the compression ignition engine, which have diesel engines, for example. Now you can see that there are threshers, there are different type of tractors, then we have the power tillers, then we have the power tillers with blades and everything. So are all the mechanical sources of power. Their fuel cost is obviously high, initial investment is high, but efficiency is also comparatively very high. So the time of the work which is being done by the animal power or the human power, comparatively the time taken by mechanical power is very, very less. And it is not affected by any bad weather condition. Cheaper form of power requires less space comparatively, and it is good in terms of the initial effort which is being put. Then we have the next power, that is the electrical power. This includes motor. This includes pumping devices you can see in the picture, cold storage, farm product processing, all these industries use this. This is also cheap form of power, high efficient, can work at a stretch. Maintenance and the operation cost is low, not affected by seasons obviously. But here also the initial investment cost is good, high, requires amount of good technical knowledge, and if it is handled carelessly, then it can even cause safety incidents or the damages to that extent. Then comes the renewable sources of energy. These sources include solar, they include sources like wind energy. There are many sources to name. So wind farms are there, biogas plants are there, solar stations are there, grid is there, and so many. So this is also the system, which is the fifth number system. Now, of all these farm mechanization this is being done, what is the major intent of having these systems in the farm apart from when a farmer is normally having labor in the farm doing the field work? What is these mechanizations that we talked about, having tillers, having harvesters, having threshers? What is this going to get? So first of all, it is going to increase the crop yield because the efficiency will be very high. Automatically it will reflect in the productivity, and productivity will also increase, which will lead to reducing the cost and reducing the time and improving the product yield, which is the major reward that is received to the farmer. And this in turn will lead to less number of efforts, both in terms of animal and human, that we talked about in the initial starting. So this is the benefit that it gives. Now, there is one term which is often used, that is tillage, which most of the students do not understand, and they mix it with some other term that we'll talk about in later slide. So there are two terms. One is the primary tillage, one is a secondary tillage. What is it exactly? Let's talk about it. Tillage is basically in primary tillage. It is basically it is applied to break the soil compaction. Soil is generally intact and it is very compact. So the tillage which is applied to this field to break this compaction, that is called as a primary tillage. And secondary tillage, as the name is indicating, it is done to reduce the aggregates and to level the surface after it is done with everything. So this is the secondary tillage. You should be aware of what these two terms are trying to convey. I hope it is clear. So now moving ahead, we should know what is this equipment, instrument you say, or what is this farm tool called. So I want you guys to answer it in the comment box below if you are able to identify what tool this is. So not taking much of the time, I'll just reveal the answer. You can pause the video and write your answers accordingly. This is called as the harrow. This is the tool called as the harrow. Then this is an example of a paddy harrow. So what is a harrow? We need to know. Now, moving ahead. Plow. What is plow and what is plowing as an activity? So this is something which is showing you plow. So do we know what plow is? So let's talk about it. One, we talked about harrow. One, we talked about plow. So in this, we are going to understand the difference. Okay. Harrow, when we are saying this is the powerful tractor mounted implement which is used for breaking and smoothing of the soil. Just the main line you need to know about a harrow. The effect of this harrow is very distinct from a plow. Plow, it disturbs the soil deeply. It is going to disturb the soil to very great extent. But harrow, on the other hand, is distinct from the plow because it does not affect the deep soil and the roots. One. Second, it is used to smoothen the surface of the ground and only break the lumps left after the plowing activity. Once the plowing activity is done and the lumps are left on the field, these lumps are broken down by this harrow. So two main activities, I hope they are clear what the harrow does. Let's talk about now what plow does. Plow is the basic farming implement which is used for turning and churning, you can say turning or churning and breaking up the soil to bury the crop residue and the weeds in them and hence control the weed population. So this goes little deep. It is a primary tillage tool which is used for opening and losing the soil. This happens to loosen the soil to open the soil, and harrow is used to break the soil and then smoothen the soil. So first activity is plowing, second activity is harrowing. I hope this gives a flavor of both of them. Similar to this, we have cultivators having these nails. These are called as the teats or the shanks. Technically, if we talk about this kind of a equipment, or you say farm tool, that is called as a rotavator. This kind of jaws it has. Then what is this called? You need to know, because I think these equipments are being used, and to some extent you might be seeing these equipments, but let's just see what is this called. This is a fertilizer cum seed drill. So from here the system goes in. Here we fill the seeds, fertilizer in the relevant material. So there are different options here. And from one side you get the seed placed on the ground, and from the other side you get the fertilizer on the ground. So this adds fertilizer and seed, both of them, through the different options that are available through the pipes in this picture, as you can see. Similarly, we have multi-combine harvester, which is this. You can see in the example. This one is called as a happy seeder. If you want me to make a video on this, I'll surely make. But just I am supposedly thinking that you guys know it, so I'm not going into detail for that. This one we already took previously. This is called as a rotavator. This is a disc plow, already discussed. Then this is called as a tractor trailer. Further, for spraying of the pesticides and the chemicals, there are two kind of modes. One is the manual mode, which is this is driven by hand, and then manually the person is spraying it in the field. And this one is the automatic. You need to it has a motor runs, and the spray is done in that way. Also, we have spray machines which are mounted on the tractor, and when a large area is to be sprayed, then this process is followed. I hope you like the content, because when I was studying agriculture, I was not knowing the terms. Many of them I used to search, I used to Google, but I did not get much material on that. But since I have faced this problem, I wanted you guys to have an access to all the sources that we are available with, and to know a little bit more about the different tools and the farm equipment which are used in the field. I hope you liked the content. If you liked it, then please do like, share it with your friends, and do subscribe to this channel. Thank you for motivating. Thank you so much.